Again, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you all taking the time to meet with us and be here with us. My name is Chad Wallace, and I'm the Assistant Director for the Career Development Team at the Center for Career and Professional Development. I'm here today to share a little bit about job search strategies and how you can utilize and really develop an effective job search process as an international student. A lot of things I'm going to cover today are what any student can pursue, whether they are a domestic or international student. I just want to kind of share from a place of being able to understand how the US job market works, and how you can be knowledgeable about that so that you can utilize that to your best advantage when you are pursuing opportunities. I will not be talking about anything visa related, so CBT, OPT, anything like that. We do have another workshop that we'll be hosting later this month or early next month, with international services, and they'll be going into more in depth about the CBT and OPT process and stuff like that. If you have any questions about that, I do encourage you to reach out to international services or visit their website so that you can learn more about CBT and OPT. For those who haven't checked in as yet, I will encourage you to just utilize this QR code and just check in. It's pretty much just checking into our handshake event so that we have your attendance and we know that you attended the event, and we'll have the ability to kind of have you access to your email so that we can share with you additional services, programs, also as well to share the link for the recording as well. Like I said, if you have any questions while I am presenting, please feel free to put it in the chat, and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions throughout the time that we are here today. All right. So getting started, I just want to kind of introduce you all a little bit to who we are first. So think of this as like a quick little Center for Career and Professional Development commercial before we get into the content with regards to job search strategies. So really quickly, we at the center, we do offer a variety of different services and programs, but I wanted to share a couple with you that can really help you with regards to not only your job search process, but just your career development and career planning in general. I see a lot of familiar names on this chat, and I know that they have been utilizing these different services. So again, I just want to encourage you all to just take full advantage of what is being offered. So first and foremost, we do offer coaching appointments, and career coaching appointments can be done either virtually, via Handshake or Teams, or in person. And based on the appointment type, it can be between 30 to 60 minutes, based on the appointment. You'll be meeting with a career coach during those appointments, and those appointments, it's not limited to a limit. You don't have a limit of appointments that you can have with a career coach, and you can work with that career coach on a one-on-one basis throughout your entire journey of career development, career planning, or job searching. Our appointment availability is posted every 2 weeks, so you'll be able for every 2 weeks. So every Friday we post our.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. There are, I think, around 30 students here waiting at MSC for the event at room number 4200.
You said how
I'm
much
not
students?
sure because there's no one here. So I'm not
So
sure if
the
this
event
turned into
was
virtual.
Yeah, the event was virtual, and it was virtual from since last week. They turned into virtual.
There are students here actually. So do you recommend getting online?
Yeah, it's being hosted virtually, so if you can encourage them to just join on Teams. How many students are there right now?
30 plus.
You said 30?
Yeah, 30 plus.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's awesome.
Because we were told that it would be going on here at the room number 4200. So every one of us is here.
Okay, okay. Hold 1 sec. Can you please encourage them to join on Teams?
Sorry?
Event here in this room.
Can you encourage them to join via Teams?
It wasn't a bull. Was on hold for that?
Yeah.
There's
a plan.
now.
Everybody is going online, so we're not sure if we're going
It's going on.
be here.
We don't know what they're going on.
No one has been online.
Okay, so it's online. Yes, this room is not booked for this event.
Yeah, but the email is saying that
Yeah, but
The email is saying no,
Yeah.
okay, so there's nothing happening in this room.
Okay,
So if you're gonna jump online, we actually have to leave the room, unfortunately, there's nothing here. There's another event later that's gonna be happening here, we have to get it set up.
Okay, so we all are joining online now.
Awesome. And like I said, this is recorded, so it will be shared throughout afterwards, so that you can definitely have access to this at the end, especially if you were missing any of the other information. Okay, so as I mentioned, we have our coaching appointments. Appointments are posted every Friday before noon, and we are posted for every 2 weeks, so you'll be able to see appointment availability. And again, like I said, those appointments are done either in person or virtually via Handshake or Teams. We also have career chats. Career chats is where you can meet with a career coach for a drop-in service. And that is Tuesdays and Thursdays between 1 and 3 p.m. at the library, second floor. So room 257 and 258. It's a glass door. You'll be able to see our signs that says career chats, and I would definitely encourage you to attend that event. Again, Tuesday and Thursdays, 1 to 3 p.m. It's a very quick 50-minute drop-in service, but you can kind of get some initial conversations going with the career coach regarding anything that you may be needing help with, whether that's internship, job searching, full-time interview, resume, career exploration, anything like that. And then we do host a bunch of different career events. These career events are hosted every semester, whether it's the fall or spring semester. So we have our career fairs that we invite a bunch of different employers, and it's very hosted. It's tailored towards industry specific, and we invite a bunch of different employers to attend the career fair, and they are actively wanting to connect and recruit USF students. We also have targeted employee events. This is where we have different employers that are attending different areas across campus, and they are wanted to speak a little bit about the company, or if they are hiring it, or if they are wanted to host maybe like topic specific in regards of like interview prep or resume critiquing and stuff like that. So follow our Handshake page and you'll be able to see that. And then, like I said, we also have our workshops, which something like this that we host. And all of these events can be found on our Handshake, on your Handshake page. Go to events and you'll be able to go on Handshake. For those that are in engineering, on the field of engineering, we actually have an event tomorrow with an employer, about interview prep, and it can be a good way for you to kind of connect with that particular employer. Again, more information can be found on Handshake or on our events page on our website. But if preferably you go to your Handshake, go to the events page, you'll be able to see all the events that are occurring. And I will definitely share with you the dates about our career fair at the end as well too. So talking a little bit about the appointments and the appointments that we have offered, these are the variety of different topics that we offer with regards to appointments. Again, reminder, appointments can be done either in person or virtual. So the appointment topics are career exploration. That's more if you're wanting to learn about what you can do with your career, what you can do with your major, what are your opportunities or the career paths that you could pursue with your major or with your career. That appointment is typically between 45 to 60 minutes long. We have anything from the resume, CV, cover letter writing, whether it's like developmental or wanting to critique or tailor your resume for particular jobs. Anything from the job search process, whether that's part-time, on campus, full-time, internship, any other strategies to help you. Sorry? We also have interview skills and interview tips. That's a 30-minute appointment where you can get just general help on your interviewing, anything like that. And then we also have mock interviews where we will design a mock interview that can be more aligned with your next step, whether that's a job interview or whether that's a grad, professional, or med school interview. We will design a mock interview and actually try to mirror that interview to be potentially to what you may have at your upcoming interview. We do have style negotiation workshops, appointments, sorry, where if you are wanting to assess your offer letter, or if you wanted to know about how to successfully transition into your new role, or how to have conversations about salaries, that's a really good appointment for you to take full advantage of. And then last but not least, if you are wanting to explore further education, whether that's grad school, professional school, we can help you with that, sort of coaching you through that process of choosing the right program for you, and being able to help you with those application materials and requirements. We also offer a drop-in service called the Career Express, and this is peer-to-peer coaching. This is where we have our student peers, our student leaders that are running our drop-in service, Career Express. They will be essentially providing services for these particular topics. So resume, CV, cover letter review, interview prep, access to using Handshake. Again, 15-minute appointment, drop-in service. No appointment is needed. You just show up. It's between Monday and Friday between 12 to 4 p.m. And you just come to our office at the SPC, and you'll be able to get help right away, first come, first basis kind of thing. Okay, let's see. I see a couple of the folks that just joined, so I want to just pause really quickly and go back to this slide and encourage you all, if you haven't already, just to please check in. Just use this quick QR code and check in. That's just going to help us to get access to you attending today, and I'll be able to I will be able to kind of share the videos with you as well too. And I also have some students reaching out via email, so let me go ahead and share the link with them as well. All right. Please let me know if you were able to check in. And if so, I'll just keep moving. All right. Let's talk about the events before, about our different workshops as well as our career fairs. Like I said, I will be able to share those dates for the career fairs at the end, and I'll show you how you can access that on your Handshake as well too. And then last but not least, we have Suitable. Suitable is our clothing closet, if you will, where you can kind of get professional wear, especially with the career fairs that are coming up, or if you have an interview or anything like that. That's a good way for you to kind of utilize this service to kind of get some of those professional wear. You can actually, it's for you to take, and you can take up to 4 items that makes an outfit per year, right? So that means both the fall and spring semester, you can take 4 items for that year, and only 4 items. You can't take more than 4 items, so it's up to 4 items. And we are located in SPC 2060. And again, our business hours, sorry, on the on our website, or if you come to the office, you'll be able to see the business hours. But typically, we are open Monday to Friday between 1 and 4 p.m. All right. So thank you for being with that commercial. That's a little bit about who we are and what we are and what we do to help and support you all in terms of helping with your career planning. So before I get started, are there any questions before we get started into like the job search process? Again, feel free to put your questions in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them moving forward. Okay. So we are going into the job search process, and I'm going to be breaking up the job search process in some increments. Again, before I share with you a little bit of the process, I want to kind of introduce you some things that you want to start thinking about. For those that joined the event a little late, I was kind of talking to you all about today. I'm going to share with you just more some strategies and ways that you can explore your job search process to be able to have somewhat of a functional, effective one that can help you to land opportunities that may be best aligned with your interests. I'm not going to be talking about anything from the visa regulations, so from OPT, CPT, stuff like that. We are hosting another workshop with international services where that will be talked more in depth and more detail. But I'm going to talk more about some strategies and stuff that we can do to help you, or you can do, sorry, to help you to really explore and encourage and have an encouraging and hopefully guaranteed fulfilling job search process. All right, so I want to introduce you first into the NACE competencies. So NACE stands for the National Association for Colleges and Employers. And they are somewhat like the industry benchmark to kind of inform the work that we do as a career services industry. They surveyed between 500 top companies as well as universities to sort of determine what is a career-ready candidate. How would you define a career-ready candidate, and what they look for in terms of competencies for a career-ready candidate. And they came up with these 8 competencies: professionalism, communication, critical thinking, teamwork, technology, leadership, equity, inclusion, and then last but not least, the career and self-development. These are the 8 competencies that they look for in a candidate, whether that's through their resume, whether it's through that cover letter, networking, or with their interviewing. I am sure many of you all, by simply just being a student, you have been able to develop, portray, or even further lean into or learn some of these particular competencies by simply just being a student, far less having work experiences or a variety of different experiences. Just by being a student, I'm sure you've been able to develop these variety of different competencies. I'm not going to talk about a lot because some of them are very self-explanatory, but again, in terms of like a little bit of ones that are related to your field, technology is going to be more aligned with your particular field and the industry that you're part of, being able to understand the trends and the impacts that technology make in the role that you or the industry that you are in. For instance, one common thing that we can talk about is, the impacts and influence of AI on the work that we do in our industry. So again, that's somewhat of like a technology sort of trend that you should be able to be aware of, and how you can utilize those particular technologies to inform the work that you do within your industry. Simultaneously as well, you want to take into consideration as well the ethical components of those technological advancements and how they may be again informed and influence the work that you do. So for instance, how would the collection of database and everything being like having database systems that host maybe, or house maybe a lot of your you know personal information, what's the ethical components of that particular field? So I think about the healthcare field. The healthcare field, they have access to all your information from your health history to your personal history and stuff like that. And then that's confidential information. So there's an ethical component to that. So being able to understand that from a technological standpoint in terms of the career in this competency. Leadership doesn't necessarily mean title. Leadership doesn't necessarily mean positional. How can you portray leadership in different ways, whether that's a group project or whether that's in some different way that you've shown in your other involvements. Equity and inclusion, which is something that you all do as USF students and international students, in terms of being able to work with people that are different, that come from a different cultural background, that think differently. I think that's something that you all do on a daily basis by simply just being an international student. So that's something that you all should definitely be proud of in terms of having and showcasing this particular competency. And then last but not least, career and self-development. This is one where you really want to be able to show these things in terms of your career goals. Where do you see yourself? So like, for instance, when you go to an interview and you ask those questions of, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? They ask those questions to kind of really assess your career and self-development. All right. So these are some competencies. Again, most of them are very self-explanatory, but again, you want to make sure that you are showcasing these different things, whether it's in your class experiences or whether it's in your involvements, extracurricular involvements as well too. In addition to NACE competencies, which are some of those core competencies that they look for in in your resume, your cover letter, or even just in terms of your candidacy and qualifications, they also want to look for transferable skills. Oftentimes, when I work with a lot of clients, we get this sort of common response of, I'm not skilled enough, or I don't have this particular skills for this role, or I'm underqualified for this role because I don't have those particular skills, right? There's a difference between relevant skills and transferable skills, right? There are some roles, there's some industries, there's some companies, or there's some position descriptions that ask for those relevant skills, right? Must have this particular skill based on the role that we're needed. That's good, right? If you have those relevant skills, then that's awesome. But you most definitely will also have transferable skills, right? What are transferable skills? We call those like portable skills. These are things that can be transferred from one job to the other. It's something that you may have learned in a variety of different experiences, whether that was, your job search, your job experiences, sorry, or volunteering or your classroom experiences, anything that can be transferable to the role that you may be applying for, in addition to those relevant quote unquote technical skills, right? For example, you may have developed communication skills, teamwork skills, organizational skills, time management skills, all those things that they also ask for in the job description. You may have developed those in just simply being a student. You may have developed those in being in a role that is totally, on campus job that's totally unaligned with your field or career interest. But they are transferable because you'll be able to showcase how you use those skills in a way that can be best aligned or relevant to those roles that you may be applying for. It gives you evidence of how you develop those skills as opposed to you just saying, I have those skills. It gives you a way for you to show how you've used those skills and how you may be able to transfer those skills into that role that you'll be applying for. Okay, so I wanted to share this with you all because before you start the job search process, you really want to start thinking about, okay, what are the skills that I bring to the table, right? In addition to, my academics, in addition to the things I learned in class, in addition to maybe the technical skills that I've gained, what are some of those skills that I bring to the table? What are some of those skills that meets the requirements of those jobs, all right, based on the industry, based on what the industry is asking for? What do I start with me first. That's how the job search process works for if you start with me, right? What do I have? What do I highly skilled at? What are some things that I'm actively working on? What are some of my competencies that I have based on my involvements? And what's some of my transferable skills, right? And you want to think about your experiences back home, your experiences here as well too in the US. How do they all combine to make me a career-ready candidate for the positions that I may be applying for? So the first phase of the job search process is to explore and search. Okay, explore and search. What does that mean? Essentially, you want to take some time to explore your industry. Take some time to understand what are the trends in my industry? What are the hiring trends in my industry? What are the variety of different companies from large size to mid size to small that are involved in my industry? What are the work that they're doing? What are the companies, the organizations, the institutions that are aligned with the work that I want to do or doing the work that I'm not aligned in? What are some of those companies, industries, employers that have the shared values that I have in terms of being able to contribute to this particular area of society or contribute to this particular challenge that I am passionate about, right? You want to be able to explore firstly what is out there, right? So explore and search. Explore and search is the first phase of the job search process. Some really good resources to help you with exploring and searching. And these are some two that I really like. It's called ONET Online and Occupational Outlook Handbook. And these are all pulled from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Again, as I shared in the beginning of our presentation, it's very important that you take the time to understand the U.S. job market if you are wanting to pursue U.S. job roles. Okay, so these two, like I said, these two websites pull information from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and they kind of showcase a little bit more about all things that are required for that particular role that you may be interested in. So if you were to go to ONET Online, if you were to go to Occupational Outlook Handbook, you can type in a particular position or a particular field that you have interest in, and it provides you areas of interest related to that field, suggested position titles that you can look at looking into in terms of when you're searching for opportunities, but it also provides you a variety of different information in regards to what are the knowledge areas required for this particular field, what are the skills that are required for this field, both from a technical standpoint as well as what we call those soft skills. What are the education requirements for this particular field? So does this field require additional or further education for me to be able to get into this field? What is the job outlook for this particular field based on this position, sorry, based on this particular location? So what is the job market for this role in Florida compared to another state? What is the growing trend of this position? Is this position going to become obsolete, or is there going to be a continued upward trend in terms of having opportunities for hiring? What's the salary range for these particular position based on different areas and locations? So really good information to, again, explore and see what's out there, because then that helps you to be able to know how to best approach the job search process for this particular field, given that you have that additional information. That's going to help you with a variety of things: your resume development, your cover letter development, your interview prep, and then obviously ultimately your successful transition into that role. Some additional resources that, again, you can find on our website that can be really helpful in learning more about, again, provide similar information. Career Coach Tool. Career Coach Tool is very much Florida based. So if you are wanting to remain in Florida, it provides you all those different information that I shared with Own It from Own It Online or Occupational Outlook Handbook, but it's just going to be more tailored towards the Florida region. Candid Career is a really good resource for you to use if you are wanting to learn more from how do I describe it? So if you are wanting to learn more about a position from someone that's actually in the position. So if you are interested in a particular position, like for example, chemical engineer, you can actually watch videos of people that are chemical engineers, and they speak a little bit about what they did, what they currently do, and what they did to become what they are, and what advice they can give you. The only drawback of Candid Career is that it's more informative and less interactive, in the sense that you're only gonna really just listen to a video of someone speaking about that role and how they got into that role. There's no opportunity for you to like ask questions and stuff, so not really that interactive. But again, good information for you to learn to help you when you are deciding what are some of those next steps in your career search and career planning. Glassdoor is really, really good in terms of being able to get company-specific information. If you don't have a Glassdoor account, I actually encourage you to do it, and you can just use your regular Gmail or personal email to create the account. Glassdoor is where you can find information about different companies. A lot of people that work in those companies will post information about a company's particular hiring process or interview process, or the salary ranges of people in that particular field or position at that company. So again, you get to get company specific information, which is really, really helpful, especially if you have a particular company in mind that you will want to pursue opportunities with. And then last but not least, My Visa Jobs, which is something that is not necessarily housed on our website, but it's public information. You just do a search of myvisajobs.com. But a really, really, really good tool for you to kind of explore a little bit more about companies that there's a variety of different databases that they have for a lot of years, where they showcase companies that have issued work visas or have sponsored professionals in the past, and you'll be able to see the company, the position that was sponsored, the position, the role, the location, the salary. They get to learn a lot of information as well too, so that you can be able to kind of, if you are doing more company-driven searches, you'll be able to kind of see, okay, these are some of the companies that in the past have sponsored. Again, that doesn't mean that they will in the future, but you can see a little bit of, okay, these are the companies that at least are familiar or understanding or knowledgeable about the international job search process, or about international candidates in general. So good information to help you when it comes to exploring those processes. Again, like I said, exploring search is really the first component of the job search process. I encourage you all to break up your job search process in digestible steps. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. If you try to just do all things all at once, I will encourage you, you will get very, very overwhelmed and stressed out. I'm speaking from shared experience. I don't know if I shared with you all at the beginning, but I also was an international student like you all. So I'm sharing a lot of these things from my own experience as well too. So really encourage you to break these down into phases, digestible steps to help you. So when you are in the process of exploring and searching what's out there and utilizing these different resources to help you, I will highly, highly encourage you to take these things into consideration, right? So first and foremost, you want to ask yourself, what are some of those career goals? What are some of those things that you would like to do? What was the reason why you left your country to pursue this particular degree or this particular field, right? What are some of those career goals that you wanted to pursue? Then from there, you want to start thinking about, okay, based on my career goals, what are the positions, the roles that are offered or available for this particular career goal or that is aligned best with this career goal? Then start thinking about those niche competencies. Okay. Obviously start searching the positions and roles and have an understanding of what the position and roles are about. But then start thinking, okay, what are the niche competencies needed for these roles, right? Be able to define exactly what those niche competencies are, right? And you will see those things in job descriptions, right? In a job description, they may say stuff like, must have the ability to work in this particular team or this particular group of people. That's automatically there. That's teamwork, right? So you say, okay, one of these companies that is required for this role is teamwork. How have I showcased teamwork in the past? Am I currently showcasing teamwork in my involvement? And if not, what can I do to start getting more of those competencies developed in my collegiate career? Start thinking about the transferable skills. Okay, this particular field requires these particular transferable skills, or these particular skills. Sorry, do I have transferable skills? Do I have past or current experiences where I have showcased my time management skills or my communication skills or my organizational skills, and start thinking about those things as well too, right? Look into your current experiences here in the US and also the experiences that you did back home. Okay. How are they relevant or how they may be aligned with your career goals? What are something that you've learned back home that can be applicable to this particular industry, this particular field, or this particular company? What are some things that I've done back home that are transferable or that may be aligned with this particular company's goal or this company's vision, right? So not only think about talking about your experiences back home, but again, being able to showcase how that may be aligned with the things that you are wanting to pursue here in the US, but also what the company is trying to achieve or what the industry or what the institution is trying to achieve. Think about your related experiences, whether that's your educational. So what have you learned in your curriculum? What are the things that you've learned in your classes, group projects, academic projects, or actual curriculum, utilizing technical skills in those curriculum? What are some things that you've learned from your classes that may be, again, aligned with that role or that position or that industry? And then obviously as well, your professional experiences, whether that's your internships or your research, volunteering, shadowing, or experiences that you've done that are aligned. What are the technical skills required for that field? What's the technology that's required for that field, right? What or preferred, okay? There's a difference between required and preferred, right? Required means that you must have it, right? You must have it to be able to be eligible for that role or be seen as a valuable candidate. And preferred just means that you don't necessarily need to have it, but it can be complementary, it can be beneficial. So you can be able to kind of determine, okay, based on the technical skills that are required, I must be able to, pursue opportunities where I'm gaining these particular skills, whether that's through my classes or whether that's through certifications or whether that's through LinkedIn Learning or something like that. And then prefer is like, okay, I should at least have foundational knowledge or some familiarity with these particular technical skills so that I can talk about it, even if I'm not necessarily an expert, not expected to be an expert, but even if I don't have proficiency in it, at least I am knowledgeable about it because at most, they just want to see if you're trainable, right? They don't expect you, and I mean the employers, they don't expect you to be experts at all. They just want to know that you have foundational knowledge, that you're trainable. So being able to showcase that. The industry and the job market. So what is the industry like for what is the job market, sorry, for that particular industry? What are the hiring trends for that particular industry? And these are things that you can just research. These are things that you can just Google. These are things that you can work with your career coach with so that they can help you. So like, for instance, right now, the insurance and real estate industry right now is not going very well, right? Because of interest rates and stuff like that. So they're not necessarily hiring a lot. Whereas, um, applied sciences or data sciences or engineering or healthcare, those are constantly going to be fields that are actively hiring, right? So being able to understand your industry and how the job process works or the hiring process works is going to be really helpful as well. For example, in the business field and accounting and finance, they hire in cycles. They hire very early, right? They hire, so if they're looking for someone for a full-time role for the summer of 2024, they may have started their hiring or the interview process or the recruiting process a year before, right? So again, being able to understand the industry and the hiring processes of your industry can help you to know quote unquote, when is the best time to fish, right? Just like fishing, when are the best times to go and catch fish? You're probably not going to go at that time when the fishes are not really there, right? So again, be able to understand that it'll be really helpful when you are exploring and searching for opportunities. And then last but not least, what are some other related or similar jobs that are aligned with or similar in terms of your career, of your position of interest, but similar roles, maybe in a different industry, but similar roles that are asking for, similar skills, experiences, and requirements that you can also look into as well, right? I also wanted to share this with you in terms of being able to understand what is required and what is needed, but also being able to look within yourself and look into what the industry or the company is looking for, because that's going to help you to develop a really strong gap analysis, a really, really effective gap analysis. So what is a gap analysis? Gap analysis is where you look into your desired outcome, so i.e. your career goal, your career position, further education, if anything. So you look into what your desired outcome is, and you look into what is required to get to that desired outcome. And then you look into your current state. Okay, what am I currently doing? What am I involved in? What are some things that I'm doing that are aligned with that particular career goal or that desired outcome? And then you start to see, okay, what are the gaps? I have really good technical skills, but I don't have, based on my desired outcome, it requires technical skills, leadership skills, and maybe research, right? And then you look at yourself, okay, I have really good technical skills, but I probably don't have much leadership experiences or research. Then research and leadership is your gap. So you start thinking, okay, what I can do to strengthen that gap. What are some things I can do? Maybe I lead a group project, or maybe I pursue a leadership role in some of my student involvement, or maybe I also look into research experiences or on-campus research experiences that can help me to fill that gap. Okay, that's what you want to do as well too when it comes to helping you with that explore and search process, that you're able to learn those gaps so you can start actively working towards that. And last but not least, encourage you all to just continue to continue crafting your skills and learning more about your different skills, right? So here's some examples or some resources that can help you with developing your skills. LinkedIn Learning is a very good tool. It's not necessarily a certification, right? So it's not something that you can say that I'm certified in, but LinkedIn Learning provides you some really good foundational tutorial knowledge on particular skills, whether that's technical skills or even personal skills, personal professional skills that may be needed in your role. All right. For example, I worked with an international student that she had all the technical skills in the world, but she lacked presentation skills. And that role that she was applying for really, really wanted presentation skills. So she took a LinkedIn Learning course on effective presentations, right? And she learned a lot to where her final round of interviews is where she had to actually do a presentation. And that LinkedIn Learning course actually gave her the confidence to be prepared for that presentation component of the interview, and also prepared her because she got the job, and also prepared her for the success in the role, because again, the role required her to do presentations. So she was able to do her own gap analysis and then pursue resources such as LinkedIn Learning to help her to strengthen that gap that she was looking for, that she needed in order for that particular to land that particular job. Obviously, certifications is another good way for you to kind of continue crafting and working on your skills, whether that's certifications that are housed through USF or certifications that are housed through different companies or different organizations. Online courses such as like Coursera and stuff like that can be really helpful. Again, learn about those foundational knowledge that can be helpful. And last but not least, your classes in terms of, your curriculum, your capstone classes, your relevant academic projects. These are all really good things for you to learn and continue crafting your skills. So yeah, you may have an assignment on how to use Java and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this, but that can be helpful because you may have looked for a job where Java is required. And you're like, oh, wait, I took a class where I learned about Java, right? So again, this is going to be really, really helpful in helping you to continue crafting your skills. So that was more of the exploration phase. I'm going to talk a little bit more now about the search. So now that you've explored, now we can start searching what is out there. And some really good resources to help you when it comes to searching is first and foremost, Handshake. I encourage you all to please maximize your use of Handshake. You all have a Handshake account by simply just being a student. If you haven't already completed your profile, I encourage you to do so. You can access your Handshake through My USF page. If you go under My USF, then resources, and then you'll see find a job, and then you'll see Handshake in parentheses. That's how you will be able to access your Handshake account. Handshake is a variety of different things from job searching to seeing different events that are happening across campus or fairs or workshops or employer-led events, but also as well too to be able to connect with our office in terms of scheduling appointments, stuff like that. So I do encourage you to utilize Handshake, complete your profile. On Handshake, you'll be able to fill out a career interest form. I encourage you to fill that out because then, Handshake can help start populating and sharing with you opportunities that are actively hiring or actively recruiting or events or resources that are geared towards your career interests. So again, encourage you to really maximize the use of Handshake. For instance, in terms of Handshake, the companies that are attending our career fairs at USF, one thing that we do encourage them to do before they even register for the fair is that they must post their job openings on Handshake. Right, so they post their jobs that they're recruiting for on Handshake. The companies that are wanting to connect with USF students or group of students or field of study of USF students, we encourage them to do that through Handshake. So they are actively on Handshake, actively looking for you all. And if you are active on Handshake, it helps you to your profile to stand a little bit more, so that you can make those connections with employers. Again, on Handshake, you can be able to search for these particular stuff in the job search function. You can search for full-time, internships, co-op, on-campus, part-time, or research. Again, I encourage you to just use the filters, being able to filter for those particular jobs. On Handshake as well, too, you'll be able to see companies that are open to hiring for OPT and CPT and stuff like that. So that's another good way for you to learn about at least this, and that this company, that you're authorized to work with this company based on they're open to OPT and CPT. A really other good resource that you can find on our website. Again, if you go to our website under resources, it'll be Career Shift, and you will see the code that's needed to create an account. I highly encourage you to utilize Career Shift. It's a really good tool. Career Shift pulls all job openings into one central location. And again, it's a good way for you to connect with employers or learn about companies that are in your field of interest. And it's just a variety of just really, really good resources. And I do encourage you all, if you come to my appointments, you will see how much I will encourage you all to utilize Career Shift in helping you to land opportunities. Going Global is another really good resource as well too. Going Global is a way for you to learn a little bit more about opportunities across the 50 states. You can also filter for those things as well too. Going Global has also a component that you can search for both full-time as well as industry opportunities. What else? Oh, it's really good as well too because there's similar to My Visa Jobs, they do have a database that they share with regards to companies that have issued or have sponsored students in the past through H-1B. So another good resource for you to learn again about companies that not necessarily open, but understand the experiences needed for international candidates to be able to get and land those jobs. All right. We will go now into phase two. Phase two of the job search process is oftentimes the most daunting one, oftentimes the most neglected one, and oftentimes the one that actually opens up a lot of doors for you, whether you're an international student or whether you're just a regular person. We're not a regular person. I said that's a bad thing to say, sorry. When I mean a regular person, I mean like if you're just on the job search process, regardless of whether you are international or not, it's just a really good resource and way for you to connect, whether you're searching for jobs or not, or whether you are just want to learn more about your field, whether you just want to learn more about who's out there working in your field or working in a position that you may be interested in. It's just such a good way for you to learn more about what is out there. And I encourage you all, one more time for emphasis, I encourage you all to please take full advantage of the networking opportunities that you have here at USF. You are part of a very, very large USF alumni network. Capitalize on that. Networking is going to be very valuable, extremely valuable, and I'll tell you why in the later slides. But I can't emphasize anymore how networking can be helpful, and it's oftentimes the process that's neglected. Right? We don't do it. We don't do it as intentionally as we should. We don't do it regardless of the rejections or the no response that we get. But it's a way for you to really, again, make connections. And I want to share this quote with you all right now because the job search process has changed drastically, right? I'll tell you from a recruiter standpoint, but also tell you from a candidate standpoint. So from a recruiter standpoint, back in the day, I'm not going to say I don't know yet, but before, long time ago, the job search process was where you would just, walk into a company and say, hey, I'm interested in working in this job, and maybe just drop in your resume, right? And then from there, the transition to where there were job portals and company career pages and stuff like that, where you will post your interest there, right? And then we had career fairs and recruiting events and hiring events, stuff like that. And then COVID came and a lot of things were done digitally, right? A lot of things were done online. But recruiters, same way that you are actively looking out for jobs, recruiters, whether that's an employer recruiter or an industry recruiter, they are also actively looking for candidates, right? And one of the ways that they do so is through LinkedIn. One of the ways that they do that is through utilization of a digital platform of LinkedIn, right? And I've heard many stories where people have learned about opportunities or found opportunities or even landed opportunities by not even applying for it, but because someone reached out to them or a recruiter connected them or a recruiter connected them to a particular opportunity, right? 90% of recruiters utilize LinkedIn to recruit candidates. And it's very important that you have your own personal, professional brand because that helps recruiters to know if this person is aligned with what they're looking for in that particular role. From a candidate standpoint, it's more not on just a resume, right? They don't only want to look at your resume. They only want to look at your resume in terms of your skills and your experiences and your education. They also want to look at your brand. They want to look at how do you represent yourself? What is your professional and personal brand? How does that being communicated? And is that aligned with my company or my company's culture or what I'm looking for in my company, right? So your digital brand is equally more important, well, not equally more, but same importance, shares the same importance with regards to how good your resume and how good your cover letter is. I can't tell you how much times I've seen very good resumes, very good cover letters, and I go on the LinkedIn profile and I'm like, this two doesn't match, right? So again, really work on encouraging your digital brand, and especially through LinkedIn and your handshake profiles, because again, that can be used as a tool for you to connect with employers, recruiters, professionals in your field to be able to kind of, again, explore what is next. Hi, Dima.
Hi, Chad. I'm really happy to be here and thank you for this talk.
Of course.
I kind of have two questions regarding this whole LinkedIn and personal branding.
Mhm.
First of all, so I'm not exactly sure how to build a brand for a person. Like I've always associated it with, things, but not as a personal brand. And second of all, I wanted to ask, how important is being active on LinkedIn? So I have a profile set up, the information is there, but I don't really post much on there. So how important is that?
Yeah, very good question. While I don't know what happened to the slides before. For those that are trying to take control of the slides, can you please not? And I will share the slides with you all at the end. Thank you very much. And to answer your question, Dima, so in terms of your branding, you want to be able to showcase on your LinkedIn profile or any sort of, whether it's an e-portfolio or personal website, you want to just showcase a little bit about who you are in terms of your values, right? So what are some things that represent you, right? What are some things that represent you from a personal standpoint, but also professionally? What are some of your accomplishments? What are some things that you've done? What are some things that you've created? What are some things that you've been part of, to showcase those different things of who you are holistically, but from a professional lens, right? So that's one. Two, in terms of being active and what do you post and stuff like that, being active just means that, on your LinkedIn profile, it's a complete profile. So that's one, right? There's a complete profile where you have, who you are, you have an about you section, you have your involvement, you have a profile picture, a professional one, at least two. But in terms of being active, being able to share things that you've done, right? It doesn't have to be very, very, very like frequent or every single day, like, if you're on like another social media platform. But if you were part of a conference, right? I know that you were part of a conference recently. You want to share that, right? You want to share that conference. You want to share what you did there at that conference. If you all did a really good group project, if you did a really good research project, if you did a really good created something through your curriculum or through your assignments, share that as well too. What's good about LinkedIn as well too is that you can follow people that are involved in your industry and be able to learn more about the trends of your industry and what's happening and the people and the movers and the shakers of your industry, and be able to kind of engage with them, and share with them or ask them questions or connect with them or comment on their stuff and be like, oh, that's really cool. Can I learn more about it? Kind of stuff like that. So that's what I mean by being active, is just you get to go down a rabbit hole of all things that are aligned with you and your professional brand, but also as well to your industry and career interests. Does that answer your question, Dima?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. So again, one of the ways that you want to really utilize your networking opportunities is by firstly, again, I'm not a LinkedIn ambassador, but I might as well be one for now based on how much times I talk about it. But you definitely utilizing LinkedIn to be able to network and connect with professionals. It's a platform that's meant for that, right? So again, please utilize it. It's all well and good for you to have a LinkedIn profile, but it's what you do with it and how you use it is going to be really, really helpful. Professional organizations is another way for you to network and be especially those that are relevant to your field or relevant to your career interest, because you get to surround yourself with like-minded students that may have similar goals or pursuing similar opportunities as you, but also as well to a lot of these different employers and recruiters connect with professional organizations to recruit. So being able to be part of that professional organization can help you as well too when you are exploring jobs. Student organizations, student clubs, or USF Alumni Network. I know that the USF Alumni Network does have an international student alumni as well too that you can also explore. Again, peer-to-peer networking. I can't tell you how viable that was for me as a student, being able to learn more about what my peers were doing and kind of asking them questions about, hey, how did you get involved in this, or what are some things that you did to be able to learn this? And then obviously leading into any sort of like friends, family, anyone, people that you know in your own personal network that may be involved in the industry that you are interested in or the career interest that you may have. Some benefits of networking is, again, that you learn about the position, the role, the company from the professionals in the field. You get industry-specific knowledge that's going to help you in your preparation and ultimately your successful transition into that role or in that industry. You gain first-hand experiences. What that means is that people can talk and share about the good, the bad, and the indifferent of that industry. And you get to ask them kind of questions, right? You have to get to ask them those questions about, okay, can you tell me what your experiences in this role or this company or in this field? Through networking, you can get potential references or connections, people that can connect you with their connections or connect you with their network, that people that may be of better assistance to you based on what you're looking for. So a really good way for you to just kind of, again, go back to that connect, and I'm going to share it in our last slides, but getting back to that what you know kind of component. And then last but not least, through networking, this is a lot of things that can be helpful for international students, is that through networking, through connections with professionals, people see you differently. People get to learn more about who you are, right? So you went from being a resume to actually being a professional brand, right? So for instance, if you were to network with someone, they get to know who you are as an individual. They get to learn who you are as a professional. They get to know what you bring to the table. They get to know those different things that you may not necessarily be able to showcase in her resume. Whereas if you just apply online, they just see in your name and they just see in your resume, right? So it's really good because through networking, a perspective change can happen where they see you from a candidate as opposed to they see you, sorry, as a professional brand, as a professional that can be really good for their team or really good for their role, as opposed to just a candidate based on a resume, right? So I encourage you to explore that. And I just dropped the code for your question. The code, score identifier code is USF in common letters. I just put it in the chat. One way that you can effectively network is through the use of informational interviews. Information interviews is where you meet with someone who's in your desired field, position, career, industry, you name it, and essentially just want to learn a little bit about what their professional background, right? What they did to become what they are, what advice they can give you as someone who's aspiring to be in this field, what are some of the trends or what are some of the things that you should know in order to be prepared for this field. Potential references, potential referrals, potential mentors. So it's a really good way for you to explore effectively how to network. Oftentimes when we network, we want to talk to people and be like, hey, I'm interested in this role, or I'm looking for the job, or here's my resume, right? And you're not getting a way for you to kind of build rapport with that person because they're going to respond and say either, hey, we're not hiring, 2, speak to HR or speak to a recruiter, or 3, I can't help you, right? Whereas you want to approach it from a curious mindset of like, hey, I see that you are in this role. I see that you're in this particular company. I'm very interested in this company, or I'm very interested in this role. I'm very interested in this industry. And I would love to just know and learn about you, learn about your professional background, what you did to become what you are, and what advice you can give me as someone that's aspiring to be in this field. That's where it's a little bit more communicative. It's a little bit more engaging. There's a little bit more rapport being built to where they get to learn more about you as well too, while you're simultaneously learning about them. And then from there, a good connection can be built to where there's someone that can now be an advocate for you in the field as you pursue those opportunities. Okay. All right. Going to go to phase 3. Don't worry, I'll be pausing for some questions at the end. But going to phase 3 after we've done some effective exploring and searching and some reflections and stuff like that, and then we've engaged in some effective networking. I encourage you now to just go into this phase of apply, apply, apply. Apply, apply, apply doesn't mean to apply for 1,000 companies. All right, I'm going to talk about what I mean by apply, apply, apply. It's more of a rinse and repeat kind of process. So going back to our folks at NACE, they again surveyed and asked companies what are the top 5 attributes that they look for on a resume. I know you see 5, I know you see 6 here, but it's actually 5. 1 is tied. But it's a really small on the screen. I do hope you all can see it. But the first one is problem solving. The second one is teamwork, ability to work in a team. Third one is strong work ethic. 4th is analytical and quantitative skills. 5th is communication skills, and tied with communication skills is technical skills. These are the 5 things that they look for on a resume. Okay. So when I say apply, 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 I don't mean to just submit your resume to 1,000 companies and say, boom, I've applied for 1,000 companies. It's not going to work. Okay. I highly encourage you all to take the time to develop your resume and cover letter to be tailored, best tailored to the position that you are wanting to apply for. Yes, you can utilize your ChatGPT and your AI, all the different things like that, but use it as a tool, right? Because at any day, if you want to showcase that you have those skills and experiences on your resume, you must be ready and willing and prepared to talk about them if you are called for an interview. I encourage you all to develop. To answer your question, Andy, yes, I will be sharing but after this, when I click end of the stop sharing for the record will be on the chat. So you'll be able to access that on the chat, but also we'll be shared with you all based on when you all have checked in. I'll email it to you all hopefully tomorrow once that video is edited and stuff like that. But yeah, what I was saying in terms of resume is that you want to be able to take some time to develop your resume and cover letter to be best suited for the position that you are applying for. I'm not going to talk about resumes at all, just because that's a topic. That's for another topic. We have a lot of resume topics and a lot of resume workshops that you can talk about, we can share and go more information about. But I want to talk a little bit more about two things about your resume and cover letter that's going to be very, very important. So on your resume, at first, you're going to start with your header information. Then you go into your education section, and then you want to share any experience that you had that's relevant to what you're applying for. And then from there, everything else is going to be, I'll share the check-in code, QR code at the end as well for you all to check in. And I'll answer your question really soon, Nazia. So yeah, you want to go into your header information, then your education section, relevant coursework. I mean, relevant coursework can be anything from what you've taken currently or what you've taken in the past that's relevant to what you may be applying for. And then from there, you go into relevant experiences, right? This can be anything from industry, professional, internships, research, anything you think is relevant to what you're applying for. You want to showcase that at first. And then from there, you can go into your other work experiences and stuff like that. And then from there, anything that's complementary. So your research, lab, volunteer, memberships, anything like that, leadership, anything like that is complementary. And then but last but not least, you'll have your skills and certification section. On your skills and certification section, you don't want to have anything that is what we call soft skills. So you don't want to see stuff like communication skills and time management and public speaking, those things. Those things are not measurable. You want to put only technical skills, computer skills, software skills, languages. Those are things that you want to showcase from a skill section on your resume. Okay. I've seen many students put attention to detail on their skill section of the resume, and then I look at the resume and I see a plethora of errors. So that tells me that you're not have attention to detail, right? So you want to make sure that you're showcasing only those technical skills, computer skills, especially the skills that are being asked in that role. For example, a very easy one. If that position is asking for Microsoft Office or Microsoft Team or a particular Microsoft platform, whether that's Outlook or Access or Excel or anything like that, put that on your resume. That's an easy thing for you to check, right? Because you have that. You have experience in that, but they're asking for it. If they're asking for it, it means that it's required in the role and you want to showcase that you have that, okay? So you really want to work on developing your resume and cover letter for each job that you are applying for, okay? And like I said, I will share with you all, I'll go back to the additional slides to share a little bit more about how you can get further resume help and resume assistance, but I'm not going to talk too much more about that from a structure standpoint. I wanted to share a little bit more about how you can tailor your resume and what it is ways that you can work on tailoring your resume for those jobs. And that's most importantly through your bullet statements. Your bullet statements is where you really want to showcase that you understand what this position is asking, and you want to show that you've had experiences that it's going to be relevant or transferable to that particular skill that they're asking for, or that particular experiences that they're asking for, or that particular compilation of skills and experience that they're asking for in that job description. So one way that you can effectively develop your bullet statement, and oftentimes when we work with our students, these are where we want to really encourage them to strengthen, and that's utilizing the PAR method, so the PAR method, which stands for project, P project, A action, R result. Okay, project, action, result. Essentially, you'll be answering 3 questions when you are developing those bullet statements. And each bullet statement should answer those 3 questions all at the same time, right? So what you did, how you did it, why you did it. That's one bullet statement. then you go to the next bullet statement, what you did, how you did it, why you did it, right? You want to start with an action verb, and having strong action verbs, especially action verbs that are going to be relevant to that position, is going to be helpful. When you look at the position description, you will see that most under the duties and responsibilities, you'll oftentimes see that it starts with an action verb. So utilizing a similar action verb or even that action verb can be very helpful in terms of really tailoring your resume for that bullet for that your bullet statement, sorry, for that job description. Okay, so you start with an action verb. And this is then you can describe the what, the how, the why in terms of the action, right? To answer your question, Nazia, this is where you can kind of, talk about some of those soft skills by, utilizing effective communication skills or working in a group of 5 to 6 class colleagues or classmates to showcase that teamwork experience or that teamwork skills. So you can mention those things in the action section of how you did it, right? You can also mention technical skills by utilizing programming language C or by utilizing AutoCAD or utilizing this particular database. You can show that in the action section of showing how you did it. And then last but not least, why you did it, right? Why you did it is not necessarily like, not necessarily a result because sometimes you're actively doing it. So it's hard for you to kind of depict the result of it. But what you can showcase is like, what were you trying to achieve? What is the outcome that you were trying to achieve? What was the purpose of for you doing this particular action or and then if you know what the result is, what was the outcome, what happened, what was accomplished by you doing that. And then definitely make it measurable. One way that you can make it measurable is by including some numbers, percentages. Sometimes I get questions about if I don't have it, you can do an average, right? So for example, today I can say I presented to about an average of 40 students on this particular topic, right? So again, you can do some averages as well too in that section. Another way for you to tailor your documents and in terms of your application process is through your cover letter, right? We at the center, we highly, highly encourage you all to utilize a cover letter. It's an additional document for you to talk about your skills, your experiences, and your values, what you bring to the team, or what you can potentially bring to the team. But again, why are you a good fit for this role? Why are you a good person for this role? It's an additional document for you to really showcase that, but also to elaborate so much more on your resume, especially those experiences, especially those skills that are very best aligned to the role and what they're asking for. Okay. Again, I'll show you all the website in the end where you will have some more additional resources to help you in terms of developing your resume and cover letter. And again, like I mentioned this in the early slides, and I'll be happy to share that again of the different drop-in services and appointments that we have that you can get additional help with your resume and cover letter. For your cover letter, again, first paragraph is where you kind of introduce who you are. Paragraph 2 and 3 is the meat and bones of that cover letter. That's where you show again that you understand the role in terms of what the position is asking for with regards to skills, qualifications, competencies that they're looking for in that role, and then being able to state that you have those skills, those knowledge, those competencies, and then obviously given evidence from your resume of how you've developed or applied those particular competencies in past or current roles. So that paragraph 2 and 3, again, is where you really want to showcase based on each position that you're applying for, showcase those different things. And then paragraph 4 is where, again, you just reiterate your interest and kind of include some pleasantries. I'm sure you're asking the question right now, do I have to have a cover letter and a resume for each job you apply for? And the answer is yes. You should always have 2 resumes. One, a working draft resume where you are continuing to add to it, you continue building on it based on everything that you've done. That's your working draft resume. Obviously, follow the structure and formatting so it's consistent. But then also you have a tailored resume for each job that you're applying for, right? So you have one resume, and then you use that as a foundation to help you to develop that particular resume for that particular job, right? So if you're applying for 5 jobs, then yes, you should have 5 resumes. It doesn't have to be totally different. It could be all consistent in terms of structure, format, and stuff like that. But again, being able to showcase and highlight and maybe even bold those particular skills and experiences that may be best transferable to the role that you are applying for, or relevant to the role that you're applying for. And then similarly, again, with your cover letters, you want to make sure that your cover letters are aligned particularly to that role as well. Okay. All right. So when I mean by apply, I mean that once you've done the exploration and searching of what's out there, and you've taken some time to network and you've searched and connect with professionals in that field or in that company or in that role, you also want to take some time to then develop your resume and cover letter for each of those jobs you're applying for. So let's say you found one job, a particular job you want to pursue, you understand what's required of that particular job. You've done a gap analysis and a skill assessment of like, okay, this job is requiring these particular things. I have this. Here's some of my gaps. You take some time to go on LinkedIn or just by going it online and searching about what are the industry, how does this position align with the industry and stuff like that. And then you take some time to say, okay, who are some, list of alumni or professionals that are in that particular position or in that particular role, and you may do some informational interviews with them and you've connected with them. Then you can also do, you go and you search utilizing career shift or handshake and you search if those positions are available or actively hiring, and there's there's three that you want to apply for based on interest, based on everything that's is best aligned with what you are looking for and what you are skilled at, sorry. And then from there, you apply for one, you take the time to develop your resume and cover letter, you take stock of what they're asking. So I always say best practice is that if you find a job that you would like to apply for, copy and paste that job description into a Word document, and then just start literally highlighting, like if it's a comprehensive essay, highlighting all the keywords, all the skill that they're asking for in that particular job description. And then from there saying, okay, how can I not only embed this in my resume and cover letter, but how can I show and talk about this in my resume and cover letter, or be prepared to talk about this as well too in my interviewing preparations as well. So you do that for one, and then you do that again for your second one, you do that again for the third one. Apply. It means you go, you do one, and then you rinse and repeat. So yeah, it's a little bit more timely because I'm sure it's very easy for you to just search for 1,000 jobs and just submit your resume and just say, okay, I applied for 1,000 jobs. But I think I really encourage you all that is quality over quantity. I would rather you spend 3 hours developing just a resume and cover letter for each of those three jobs that you want to apply for, than spending an hour applying for just 1,000 jobs by submitting a resume. Okay, quality over quantity. All right. So I just want to share with you some takeaways from everything that we shared today, and again, I will walk you through any other questions that you may have with regards to our events, stuff like that. But the job search process is a process, exactly what it is. What that intentionally means is that for one person, it may be a week. For two people, it might be 3 weeks. For another person, it may be a month, right? It's a process and it's in an individualized process, okay? What it means by a process is that we live in a world where there's a lot of instant gratification, right? So we submit a job on Wednesday and we're hoping that by Wednesday, 5 p.m., we get a call back, right? It's a process. A lot of companies have different hiring timelines, hiring process. Some are actively hiring right away in terms of based on just in time, in terms of like, yeah, I have this position and I want to recruit this person right away. Some of them hire in more of a long-term process of, they hire a year before the position is available, or they hire a year before that person graduates. So again, different timelines, different industries. So being able to understand your own job market, your own industry, the hiring cycles for those industries is going to be very helpful in terms of being able to optimize and maximize your use. So I can give you an example in terms of higher education. In my field of higher education, there's some offices in higher education that hire more actively in the summer because it's an easier time. People are easier to move. People are, interview process a little bit more streamlined. Whereas in terms of like in higher education and housing, they hire just in time in terms of like, I need someone right now, so I'm actively recruiting for someone right now, right? So again, it just really depends on the job process, the job market that you're in, and being able to understand that is going to be really helpful so then you can prepare accordingly. I highly encourage you all to break down your job search process into digestible, actionable steps. I speak from experience when it comes to this. Breaking it down just helps you to kind of feel a bit more on top of it, because it can be a very overwhelming, emotional, vulnerable sort of process, and be able to break it down digestible steps can be really helpful because most times you're doing this while you're also trying to study and exams and all these different other involvements and stuff that are requiring your time and energy. So yeah, I encourage you to break it down into very digestible steps. Last but not least, in terms of the research, the first before you actually get into applying, do your research on the company, right? Do your research on the company, do your research on the role. The more you know, the better, right? The more you know, the better in terms of how you can adapt, prepare, or develop what is required of the position or company or industry that you may be interested in. Going into like more of the actual application and search process, network. I can't tell you how much time this phase is being often neglected because of lack of intentionality or lack of commitment to it, right? If you network with one person, don't just say, okay, I did my networking, right? Ask them as well too, hey, is there someone you can connect me with in your network, right? Networking is like a web. You connect with one person, you can connect with their network and their network, kind of thing like that. So I highly encourage you to network. It's going to be very, very valuable, not only in terms of job searching, but also just learning more about the field, learning more about what's required in the field, learning from people that are actually in the industry. So you get a lot of specific information that can help you with not only your application process, your interview process, but also your successful transition into the role, because that's the next step, right? It's not about just job searching, but how do I also land that job, but also do I do very well in that job as well too. Quality over quantity in terms of being able to tailor your resume and cover letter for each job description. Understand what the job description is asking you and what they're looking for. Be able to say, determine, okay, what are the preferred qualifications, what are the required qualifications, what are the minimum qualifications, and being able to showcase that you have all those different ones. And then also being able to showcase that in your resume and cover letter so that's easily understandable, right? A lot of companies and employers and recruiters don't take much time looking at your resume and cover letter, right? So if you have to search through your resume and cover letter to find those things, then that can be something that can be of a hindrance to you in terms of the job of the application process. So the easier you make it for the recruiting personnel, whether that's a human being or whether that's the application tracking system, the easier you make it, the not the likelihood, but the better your resume could potentially, your application, sorry, could potentially stand out as well. And then last but not least, appreciate the small victories. The job search process can be very, very daunting, very, very overwhelming. So you land that first interview, celebrate that, right? You land that second round interview, celebrate that. You got a really good networking call or someone connected you to someone else, celebrate that, right? Really, really be your cheerleader in this particular process, because like I said, it can be a very lonesome and overwhelming process at times. And then last but not least, it's okay to ask for help in terms of us. We are here to help, and we, the career coaches, the center in general, we are all working in unison to just help you all in a variety of different ways. So please feel free to utilize us and ask for help, but ultimately as well to your professors, the USF alumni that are international students that are from your country or in different countries, like using their help. Your supervisors, if you're working in your internships, if you have internships, like really it's okay for you to ask your help. Don't make it feel like you have to do this by yourself. That's something that I wish I could tell myself when I was a student in the search process. And I wanted to share a little bit about the international perspective and consideration that you can take with you with regards to you being an international student. Like I said, I was an international student as well. And oftentimes during my time as an international student, I felt, for lack of a better word, I felt sometimes less than, right? I felt that, I have all of these things, but yet I'm an international student. I always said, but I'm an international student, but I'm an international student. I felt like I was adding a negative connotation to that, that I was just an international student, right? And one day I was speaking to my mentor and they encouraged me to start exploring what that international student means to me, right? And I was able to start thinking of like, okay, what do I bring based on my international experiences? What do I bring to an environment? What do I bring to a culture? What do I bring to a team environment or office culture because of my cultural quote unquote difference? Because of my cultural exposure to be able to assimilate and adapt to different cultures, or my soft skills of flexibility and all these different things like that. Like being able to think about those different things is really, really, really helpful because you get to start having more of a positive framework and a positive view and a positive lens of who you are as an international student, as opposed to that negative connotation of, or that limiting belief of I am just an international student. Okay. So start thinking right now. Before you even get into your job search process, I encourage you all to just really jot down these 2 questions and start asking yourself these 2 questions. Ask your colleagues, ask your professors, ask your if you have a supervisor or a mentor, ask them these kind of questions, and start asking yourself these kind of questions as well too, of like, what are some of my experiences as an international student that can be applicable or aligned to my career interests, right? What do I bring to the table in addition to not only my degree or my technical skills or my education or my experiences? What else do I bring? What's something that makes me special? What's that specialized attribute that I bring that can be really valuable or aligned with this company's goal, right? For instance, if a company values global competency, or they have work that's across the world, then you bringing that international experience, that US-based company can be valuable, right? Because they're trying to expand their global reach, and you have a global sort of competency that can be very aligned with that goal, with that company's goal, right? So start thinking about that as well too, changing your framework from I'm just an international student to I am an international student, and these are the different things that I bring in addition to my skills and experiences. You all should be incredibly proud of yourselves in the sense of how much you all have navigated a new culture, a new education system, a new language, all these different things that you all should be proud of, that you can use to your, not necessarily your advantage, but to showcase that in terms of additional things that you bring to the table, especially when you're in this job search pursuit. I want to share this from a place of um, personal experience as well too. Rejection is part of the process, right? There will be doors that will be closed on you. You will sometimes get no's, right? You will sometimes get no's. Sometimes those no's may necessarily be directly because of you, right? You may get those no's just because of policies or um, certain other perspectives that are beyond our control, right? So rejection is part of the process. I often encourage you all, do not take it personally. Obviously, easier said than done. It may hurt, allow it to hurt for a little bit, but then get back to the horse and get back to pursuing what you're doing, and again celebrating those small wins, right? You really just need one yes. What that essentially means is that you just need one person, one company, one employer to just take that chance on you and say yes, and that's just going to help you to be more motivated. I just need that one yes, right? I have worked with a lot of you in multiple different ways, and I know that based on what you all bring to the table, you're probably going to have more than one yes, right? So again, don't limit yourself to that one yes, but sometimes thinking about that can be really helpful in navigating a very, very somewhat challenging process. This one I want to tell you, based on not only my personal experience, but also work with a plethora of international students, work on building your social capital, right? I say that in terms of I'm sure you've heard the saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know, but it's also who knows you, right? There's a difference between you knowing someone and someone also knowing you as well too, right? Because that person can then also advocate for what you bring to the table, right? And also encourage people to say, hey, you should give this person a chance, or you should look into this person. This person has really good qualities and will be an excellent fit for your role. Develop your social capital, and you can only do that through networking, right? Start connecting with people not because you can gain something from them, but start connecting with people so that you can learn from them, and they can learn about you as well. You can learn from them about what they did to become what they are, and what advice they can give you to get into that field. And then this one, I I struggled a lot when people told me this particular advice when I was in my own job search process. But again, it's something that's going to be really helpful, and I encourage you all to do that. Is start thinking about those plan A to Z. All right, if plan A doesn't work, then what is plan B? And what is plan C? And what is plan D? Exhaust the entire alphabet if you have to, but constantly start thinking about what are your other options, what are your other things, avenues that you can explore that's going to be aligned with your career goal and your desired outcome. So I'm going to stop there for some questions. As I said, the recruiters sometimes don't understand sponsorship scores when it comes to national student. That is oftentimes something that we see a lot. I can tell you this, that we try our best at the center to really help. We collaborate a lot with international services to really try to help employers know and understand the OPT, the CPT process. And I think the institution on a whole has been doing a really good job of really showcasing that. And I know that there's a lot of employers that see a lot of value in international students and what they bring. So again, I know sometimes it feels hard because they hear that word sponsorship and they're like, oh, automatically, no, I don't want to talk to you kind of thing. I know sometimes when we look at job postings or look at job applications, we have that often daunting question of like, do you require sponsorship right away, or do you need, or will you require it in the future, stuff like that. I know all those things, and I understand, I empathize with you with that. It's sometimes defeating to see, but I can say that, again, like I said in the second part, rejection is part of the process. It's not you. They're not necessarily telling you no. It's just something that they have in terms of policies and things that they can and cannot do. I can take this from another viewpoint. There are companies that are actively known for sponsoring, but they are positions that are not sponsorable. So there's another viewpoint you can look at it too as well, right? My own personal experience, I worked with a company that is relatively known for sponsoring, but my position that I was in was not sponsorable, if that is a word. So there's another thing that you have to see as well too. It's sometimes it's just policies, and sometimes it's just beyond our control. And we, even though it's sometimes have the bad taste in our mouth, we have to again know that that's just part of the process and that's just out of our control, and we keep going and keep persevering. Okay. This is where we're located. The Student Services Building, SBC 2088. Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. is our office hours. This is our website, in addition to some of the different things that we talked about. Let me just go back to, again, reiterate some of our different programs and software services that we offer. If you want additional help with your resume or, again, your job searching process and stuff, we can do that through our coaching appointments. Again, that can be done through Handshake. Career chats, which is in the library, 257 and 258. It's a drop-in service. No appointment is needed. Tuesday and Thursdays between 1 and 3 p.m. You can get additional help there. We have a variety of different workshops that are being hosted either in person or virtually throughout the entire semesters. And you can learn more about that in our Handshake. I'll go on Handshake on your events page, and you'll get a lot of notifications about it as well. We have our career fairs I mentioned. Our career fair dates. The first one that's coming up is the Engineering Tech Fair. So that's for more engineering and those that are interested in engineering and tech. And that is February 27th. We have our general career fair, and then we also, which is March 28th, and then we have our health and life sciences career fair, which is Friday, March 29th. Again, all that information is on our website or on Handshake, so please encourage you to utilize that. In terms of additional drop-in services, we do have our Career Express. Again, no appointment is needed, Monday to Friday between 12 to 4 p.m. And this is where you can get some additional quick help on resume, CV, cover letter, any interview prep, or how to utilize, or event prep, sorry, and as well as how to utilize or access Handshake. And yeah, that so pretty much concludes today's workshop. I will open it now for questions. And I thank you all for your flexibility. We do apologize that you were there at MSc 4200. We changed the event to virtual. So again, my apologies. please forgive us. But like I said, this is also being recorded. I'm going to stop recording now so that everyone can ask their questions more freely. And this was recorded, so you'll have access to this. And I'm more than happy to convert these slides into PDF to share with you all so that you have access to this as well. But once this recording is ended, it will be housed on this Teams chat, so you can have access there. But our team will make sure that we can also share it out as well to you all and anyone else that may have missed this event. Again, thank you all for being here. And yeah, let's have some questions.